So I'm Luke Emmess, as seen on MasterChef, made it to the final 3. So today I'm going to be doing the Pea Custard Tart from my pop-up challenge in MasterChef. It's probably my most asked for recipe. We're going to start with the pea cream, which we're going to then turn into a custard in a little bit later. So for this we've got some onions, garlic, peas, spinach, cream, and then literally just a bit of salt for seasoning. So to start with, we're just going to sweat down the onions with a little oil. We're going to get a little bit of, not too much colour on the onions, get them nice and soft, and then we're going to add the garlic in, and then we're going to add the cream and just let that infuse a little bit. Throwing the garlic in there, getting a little colour but not too much. Just going to bring out the flavours in there. Caramelise them a little bit. And then we're going to add cream. I'm just going to add a bit of salt into that. The weights and the quantities for this part are not like exact. We're just trying to make a really green consistency cream that's infused with the flavours of garlic and onion, obviously the peas. The spinach is going to bring quite a neutral flavour, but it's going to add a lot of green to the colour. We're going to blend all that, pass it, so we've got a nice green pea flavoured cream, and then we're going to weigh out 1 kilo of that to go with 300 grams of egg yolk, and that's going to make our custard mix. We do by blanching the peas, it's just going to make the pea flavour a bit stronger, and it's going to make them a little bit greener as well. If we didn't blanch them, it just might not be as green, and it also won't have as strong a pea flavour. I'm going to put the peas into the water. Just going to give them 1 minute in there. We're going to cool them down quickly in ice water as well. So we've got our peas that have been blanched and refreshed, so they're cold. We've got our cream that we've infused with sauteed onions and garlic, and then we've got our raw spinach here as well. We're using baby leaf here, just as a little less hassle in the prep of the spinach. And we're going to infuse all these into a good jug blender. We need it to go real smooth. We can add a few peas, like I say, this one isn't an exact recipe. There's not like, I've not weighed this out because we're going to make the cream and then we're going to weigh the creams for the custard recipe. So if we need to add a little bit more pea or a little bit more cream, that's absolutely fine while it's blending. And then we're going to go in with the flavoured cream. We want to give it a really good blend, and then we're going to pass it as well through a shimmer because we want it to be completely smooth. Let's see there, we've got a nice green cream consistency. We want to make sure there's no lumps or pieces in there at all. And all we're looking for at the moment is good colour, good flavour, and a consistency that resembles a good thick double cream. Not too thick, but not too loose at the same time. A little bit more salt. It's got a really good strong pea flavour. There we are, you can see we've got a smooth green pea custard. So here I've got the short crust pastry that I made in advance. Real basic recipe. It's just twice the amount of flour to fat. So 500 grams of plain flour to 250 grams of unsalted butter. You knead that together until it's sort of a breadcrumb consistency. Then you add a little tiny spoon of milk at a time until it comes together like a dough. It should be quite firm and not too malleable. So if it's really like sticky, then you're not going to get a very nice pastry. Short crust should be sort of a little bit crumbly, and that's going to give a real good texture when we cook it and eat it. So I've got the tart case. I've very lightly floured it. This one's a pretty decent non-stick one. If you're a little bit worried about it sticking, or it's been used a few times, you can rub some butter around and flour as well, and that's just going to give it an extra layer of non-stick. I'm pretty confident this one's quite a fresh non-stick one there. Now what we've got to do is we've got to carefully, this is going to rip apart a little bit, and that is absolutely fine. I'm going to try and tip it over and just gently lay it on the top. You can see already it's cracked. That's kind of the nature of short crust pastry. We're going to go around and just stick it in the edges And the edges, we don't need to neaten up. We're going to do that after it's cooked. So the edges we're going to almost pinch over, so there's no chance of the liquid sort of filling behind the pastry as you pour it in. And we're going to bake this blind for probably about 20 minutes until the pastry starts to firm up. We've got a tart there. It's all about the same thickness. These rough edges we're going to fix later on. We don't want to play around with them too much at the moment. If I pierce it with a fork, what it helps do is just helps to stop it rising too much. Sometimes you'll get a bubble. So we're going to pierce it with a fork. We're also going to put some dry rice in there, which we're going to use like baking beans. Because we have to part bake this pastry before we put the liquid custard in. And then we're going to get some dry rice. You can use baking beans as well, but I actually think the rice works a bit better. So it gets really into all the edges. I'm going to pour that into the cling film. What this does, this helps keep the shape. I'm going to push it all the way to the edges. See, the cling film's there, so none of this rice is going into the actual pastry. Flatten it down, and then we're going to bring the cling film over, being really careful. We don't want any grains of rice in our pastry. And this is a cooking grade cling film. It's a good strong cling film, so we can put this in the oven. What it does, it sort of tightens up, but it doesn't melt. That's the tart ready to go in the oven. We're going to bake that blind now for about 20 minutes. Carefully take out the rice. If any rice gets in there, I'm just going to try and get that out. And if you get a bit more pastry, if there's any sort of little cracks in there, you can quickly patch them up with just a little bit. Pastry. Slightly egg wash the inside of the tart. We're going to put this back in the oven again. What this egg wash does, it just acts as almost like a waterproof barrier. So when we put the liquid custard in there, it's going to be less likely to spill out into the tart case. We're going to put it back in the oven now for 15 minutes at 180. So we've got our pastry case baked blind there. We've got the egg wash on there. If there's still any few little holes or anything you think that might leak out off, just get a bit of the raw dough and just put little patches on there, just to try and make sure that they're not going to leak out. The rough edges we're going to tidy up after we've baked it. We've got our pea custard that we made earlier here. We're going to weigh out 1 kilo of that. So just going to put that into the jug here. There we go. So you got a kilo of pea custard. You know, about 300 grams of egg yolk here as well. I'm going to mix those together. We've got the 1 kilo of the pea cream and 300 grams of egg yolks. We're going to pour that carefully into the tart case. We want to fill it right to the edge. So we've let it cool down a little bit now. While it's still in the case, this is where we can trim up them not very neat edges. And the tip for this, you can use a knife and scrape it, but what I tend to do is use a microplane grater or fine grater. You just go around the edges and grate off all the gnarly rough bits until it's flat with the tart. So you need to let it cool down a little bit before you start doing this. Almost like giving it a little haircut. I think it's cooled enough for me to take it out of the tin. Slide it onto the cooling rack off of the base of the tin. And then the one other thing that I did on the show as well, is blowtorch the top so it's almost black. And it gives a real good contrast to the colour when you cut into the tart. Also adds like a slightly smoky flavour to the tart as well, which adds to the savouriness, goes well with the lamb. So we've got to get the pan nice and hot with some oil, and we're going to go in first with the lamb. Want to really get a nice dark colour and caramelisation on the lamb. Just going to really improve the flavour So just looking for a real nice brown colour on the lamb before we start adding any more ingredients. We're going to go in now with onions, red onions there just diced up. We've got some diced celery, some carrots, about building them different layers of flavour. You know, ragu isn't just about chucking everything in the pan and cooking it all at the same time. You want to get different caramelisation on different things. I haven't added the garlic yet, so I'm going to let this cook out a bit more first. Really getting them strong lamby flavours coming off this now. And I add the garlic in there. Don't put that one in too early because we don't want to burn the garlic. We're going to add a good pinch of sumac. The spice blend that works beautifully with lamb. Then in here, I've got harissa and some tomato paste. And then we're literally just going to finish it with a bit more salt in there. Chicken stock. Make a little cartouche to sit on top of that. A lid's fine. I prefer to use cartouche. Just traps the moisture in and keeps the meat really tender. That's it. I'm just going to cook that away now until it's super tender. Turn the heat down. It doesn't need to be on a high heat anymore. So we're sort of like just slow braising it for an hour or two until it starts pulling apart. When you touch it, it should be like literally falling apart in your fingers. So that's been braising away now for a little while. I'm just going to take the cartouche off. You see it's nice and sticky, glossy. The lamb's really soft. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to transfer that into a bowl. I want it to cool down a little bit, but not too much, just so that I can get a glove on and get my hand in there without burning it. And I'm going to really like crush it and get that real nice pulled lamb. And then we're just going to add it back to the pan and warm it through. And that's pretty much ready to serve then. Sort of dressing or vinaigrette to dress the pea shoots and some thinly sliced red onion. This will be like a little salad garnish for the dish. I'm going in with a bit of honey, a bit of truffle oil, not too much because it can be quite strong. And a touch of the red wine vinegar. Going to whisk all that up, and that's going to be like a little vinaigrette we can dress the salad with. I really like the combination of truffle and honey. It's something I'm big on. I use it quite a lot. I think they work so well together. So you've got the red onion here. Just going to slice it super thin. We'll sit that in the vinaigrette so that it can take on some of that flavour. We'll put the pea shoots in last because we don't want them to be sat in there too long because the acidity will break down the freshness of the leaf. We've got some sheep's yogurt there which we put on last minute, and some pecorino, which is a hard sheep's cheese as well. Sort of rolling in the theme of lamb, and we can cut the toe up now. Again, being really delicate with it, don't want it to fall apart. So I'm doing it exactly the same way I've done on the show. Should have a nice green, perfectly set, silky smooth custard. Nice flaky pastry on the bottom. Be really delicate through the edges of pastry because I don't want them to fall apart. What we're looking for is that it's soft, not too firm, still a bit jiggly texture. Cool down a little, and you just want to really break down the ragu. Soft, tender, all them flavours are concentrated in there. We've got them spices, the harissa, the vegetables, onion, garlic, celery, carrot. all that stock's reduced down in there, give it that nice glossy colour. Warm up, ready to serve. So you're just gonna season the top of the tart with a bit of molten salt. Add a small spoon of the lamb, make sure that sits on the top of the tart nicely. We do this off the plate so that we get a nice clean plate. If anything drops off or goes onto the tray, then we haven't got to worry about that on the plate. This is the same way that I did it on the show. So that's the lamb on top. We've got our vinaigrette that we made here with the onions in it. I'm just gonna toss the pea shoots through that as well. You want a bit of pea shoot and onion on top of each one. The hard sheep's cheese, pecorino, quite generously over the top. Now carefully, just gonna try and transfer that into the plate. And then to finish, just gonna put a little dollop of sheep's yogurt. Yeah, that's lovely.